Okay.
Hello, hello.
So I'm staying at Adams Inn. It's a bed and breakfast in Adams Morgan. And there's not a lot to do outside.
That's true. Because of quarantine and corona, a lot of traffic on the streets in DC has stopped, and let alone you can't really go in museums or anything.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like,
It's an odd time. Yeah, I just came back from serving 9 months in Southern Africa, and so one thing that's really hidden to us is just that reintegration is going to be very weird when you come back to the States, and so it's an interesting time to come back to America and still feel like, wait, I don't, this feels very different than when I left, but it's extremely so.
so where in Africa were you?
I was in Malawi, it's Southern Africa, and it's like kind of in the middle. It's landlocked, but it has a lake, so it's like right in the middle of Africa. There's a little lake, and it's the border of that lake.
And what were you doing with the Peace Corps?
I was an environmental volunteer. Yeah, so I was doing education for youth groups or wildlife clubs in schools, tree planting, teaching how to preserve trees.
Do you I like Africans. I like the Africans I meet in the United States. They're
Yeah.
always very, very, very cool, and like they tend to be kind of like have this similar attitude. Do you notice this as well? Like when you go to different, have you been to other
Similar attitudes?
like there's this like African culture, right? Or something that's like it's.
I mean, I think there's certainly communalism amongst people. I think they would share certain experiences, and then there's a certain bond. But I don't know if I've noticed mentalities or mannerisms that are pretty widespread that you'd see. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what example do you have of like something you've seen?
I would say like. It's very complicated. It's very hard to really say. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanna learn more, and like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's I'm really grateful. The country that I was in was the fourth poorest country in the world, and I learned a lot about like what family means, and like what happiness is, and like a lot of lessons to bring back here. But I learned a lot of things that I didn't think I was going to, because I had no understanding of like what Africa was, how lush and green it even was, and so I understand like it's so many things are so complex, and you just yeah.
Yeah, I know that African art was very important for Picasso.
That's true. Yeah.
And it had a huge influence for like Cubism.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and I know that that's like one of those examples that people might cite of like appropriation, because it was Picasso taking this African art, but it certainly exposed people to when I went to the African American History Museum here in DC. It's like there's a whole, I don't know, I think it also exposes people to the art they might not have seen otherwise, maybe. So Sissy,
Yeah.
you are from LA. What are you doing in DC?
I'm a street poet,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been working in Adams Morgan for quite a few months now.
Okay. So you've been staying here in DC for a little bit.
Yeah, I came here in October,
Oh wow.
and um, I've been enormously successful. My earnings, I mean, I've made like close to like maybe $2,000 in like the last week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Just by performing.
um, and I mean, it's hard to like say how much I'm making necessarily because I don't keep track of all the.
Yeah, you don't. You certainly don't.
I do keep track of like the Venmo and the stuff like that, so I can add up these numbers and then.
Mm-hmm.
But I get a lot of cash that I don't record.
Off the grid.
Well, so yesterday I made
Mm-hmm.
I made close to like 200 and like $40 around there.
Mm-hmm. By performing.
Maybe a little bit more than that actually. And then the other day I made like 400. I made up to 400 a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is during COVID-19 when like
Few people are out.
Yeah, a lot, and yet my business is doing good because well, it's a very difficult business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people I see outside are the same people that go outside.
Mm-hmm.
So they're joggers or they're walking their dog, for example. These type of people, they go outside like every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm running into them oftentimes the second time.
Mm-hmm.
That's making it a little difficult for me
Yeah.
because I can't find those type of people that would go out when everything was open. A lot of those people are staying inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then the type of people that you're seeing outside are like the real outside type people.
Yeah.
And those people are a few. And then I'm running into them
Mm-hmm.
again the second time, the third time, and then it's making it very difficult for me. And I'm having to reach out. Although there's not that many neighborhoods in DC that are really cool. I think like there's a couple that I like, and then there's a couple really good ones, and then
Mm-hmm.
everything around seems like awful. This is one of the best neighborhoods because when I go around here, if you go like in the Lanier Heights
Mm-hmm.
area up here,
Yeah.
or if you go to Calvert Road, and
Yeah.
take the bridge across there.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed around here this community is one of the like best in terms of like there's lots of people outside, lots of people who
So
have
it's like
dogs.
an active community.
Yeah.
People are out.
It is,
And that's good for your work. Yeah.
It has the most interesting dynamic going on or whatever. Are you also like very familiar with DC in general or like?
Yeah, I went to school here. But I was at American University, so I was more on the northwestern corner. So, yeah, just right bordering.
American University is it like northwest of Georgetown or like?
Yeah, it's like the map of DC. Like we're right in that northwest corner. Yeah, it's just tucked away in DC. It's like technically DC.
The Peace Corps sounds very interesting. That's an organization that's just it's like it's just a non-profit. Does it have a government connection or like?
It's a government connection. Yeah, it was started by like John F. Kennedy in 1960. I think it was 68. But the purpose of it is to like spread goodwill and friendship. But really, it's meeting with that government and seeing what their needs are, and then we have like economic development, youth development, health, education, environment, and agriculture. And so you come and you say, what of these volunteers that we can provide do you most need? And then you work with them and they say, we need, for Malawi, it was like, we need health because of rampancy of AIDS. We need education to teach English as a second language in the environment because they cook on firewood every day and they didn't have an alternative. And so, it's just going with communities and establishing an American relationship with them.
That's interesting. I think I'm a supporter of pacifism, and I don't like military. I don't like war, you know.
Yeah.
And the Peace Corps is like the antithesis of a military.
It's their first motto, which they've changed, but it was something along the lines of like, we send in the Peace Corps so we don't have to send in the Marine Corps. So it's like always been seen as like a preventing a struggle, and that's really incredible. I think now it's something like daring greatly, but still the sentiment remains is, what do they need and what can we provide?
What do you think about what do you think about militaries in general, like the idea of having a standing army, and also the idea of like spending enormous amounts of money to upkeep, products of war, and like whether it's like nuclear weapons or stuff like this, which the United States spends huge amounts of money. I think it's like I think we spend about $40 billion every year just on upkeeping our nuclear arsenal or whatever.
Wow.
And it's very expensive, and we have like way too many of them as well. And then and a lot of people argue that American nuclear weapons, for example, are kind of not sending like a good message. You know what I mean?
It just creates fear, and but I know it's an incredibly complicated issue. But the first thing is that I believe we should switch all of our nuclear weapons to uranium. I mean, from uranium to thorium. I think that we need to get rid of our uranium nuclear weapons, and that thorium can power essentially our entire United States, but without having any environmental impact, and it's non-combustible, and so we can't even use it to like make weapons. I just think we should be, what you can do is by combining uranium with thorium in like a nuclear reactor, you can lessen the toxicity or half-life of the uranium, and so I think that we need to lessen our storages of uranium and switch over to thorium. But in general, I think that the military budget is too much, but I actually don't have a problem with us having the largest, most advanced army in the world. I think that in the position that we want to be in the world, that having and not we as in everybody, but I think that would most benefit America actually benefits by having a large and powerful military. But I don't know if I think it so far supersedes, I think the second closest is China, then Russia, but it so far supersedes them that it's an irrational amount of money being spent, especially when, so let's say it's $40 billion on just the nuclear arsenal. Well, the Peace Corps uses $400 million to operate within 60 countries around the world. And I don't, like, that's employing people at each post, and that's training and all this. $400 million a year, and it's the most effective use of money. So I think we can use less. I think we can do equally as much with less money.
Yeah, you could have a nuclear arsenal of $4 billion a year. 10% of the nuclear weapons we have, and still be perfectly fine, because there's not enough. I think they've been trying to limit them. But the same argument carries over for. So look at standing army, which is roughly 3 million, and it's very large. It's like it's spread out, all over the globe. We have like over 200 military bases, and with the military, we wonder. What's the goal of the U.S. military? What's their goal? We know their goal from history. We look at the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, and the Afghanistan War. Their goal is to encourage the idea of war itself as some sort of good thing, and they spend $1 billion in advertising, propaganda, I would call it propaganda. They spend $1 billion in propaganda every year which is a lot of money actually. I mean, that's a significant amount of advertising they spend on trying to sell the military itself.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the purpose of the military is strong arming. It's like such a show of force. Don't make me use it. And how beneficial that is around the globe. Like, are America's interest the world's interest? Maybe not. There are things right now that are in the world's interest, such as climate change, that everybody needs to have a say in. But so that's why I think like it benefits only America to have such a big, strong military. But whether that's the world's interest, I don't know. But I think for the most part it is. But I think in some instances it can be, like for the Vietnam War, like I think you can ask 10 different people and get 10 different answers about what that was all about. And each one comes down to our needs superseded theirs, no matter what it was. And that's unethical and wrong when you think of everybody as equal. So it's an interesting thing, but the purpose of it, to only to people, I think that people would make the argument to spread democracy, but I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, they're definitely not spreading democracy. It's a war machine. The Pentagon is a war machine. They're obsessed with war. They look at the world and they look at the wars as though it's something noble or like good, and that they think, and we have to ask also. There's very few that speak out against war. And we need to speak out against war as a concept, and that's a concept that's being encouraged, and it's a bad concept. It comes from the Pentagon itself, the Pentagon spends money to promote war as an idea.
In like proxy wars?
No, I mean just they spend money to try to promote the propaganda goals of making the public feel like war itself is like some sort of good thing. So they'll cleverly use Hollywood maybe or something like this in some way to try to manipulate the public and try to. There's definitely a lot of films that have been made that, like Avatar.
Oh,
Avatar as an
yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Where it becomes some sort of propaganda platform for the U.S. military or whatever, and they try to like indoctrinate the world into like thinking that, you know, I mean, like Avatar isn't an independent movie. It became a platform for you know, the U.S. military to try to propagandize whatever, because it got viewed in all the nations and stuff like this, and like
I think specifically with Avatar that was actually it was a movie made about climate change and about like affecting our planet, and so like the Na'vi were like the Native Americans, and so the military was coming in, and the whole time you're seeing from the Na'vi's perspective, and you're supposed to like hate the military for trying to destroy their like tree of life, and so I think that one actually was intended to show people like you're destroying each other and the world, and what's to what avail. And so that one, I think particularly, it was like fuck the military, you know.
Yeah.
I think, but I do see like American Sniper, or what's that one? I forget. It was one that came out just before it. But these like film. I had a friend here in DC who wanted to go see it because she really enjoyed the main actor in it. And we went and saw it, and we're like, oh, that film was very bad, just for how it's like, these Arabs, get them. And I was like, oh, not good. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. I mean, I do think that like there could even be a like, hey, we need to. This is conspiracy, Pam, but like, hey, we need the public's hoorah on this. Can we make a good film about not necessarily like Saving Private Ryan, because that I think was like accurate, but like American Sniper, it's like we need some hoorahs right about now before we do this strike. But maybe that's just me being silly. But fascinating nonetheless.
Yeah, you know, people just need to know about the propaganda and understand how Hollywood is being used to manipulate the public in many ways. It's Hollywood is an independent, you know, artistic endeavor or whatever. It's like it's a conspiracy. It's actually some sort of conspiracy, like to try to control people's like perceptions about the world and stuff, and it's like it's used by the U.S. government in many ways to support their like, you know, they spend a lot of money. Like I know the CIA spends a lot of money on Hollywood and trying to affect the films and stuff, and like
I didn't know that.
it's a huge amount of work. Like they spend lots of money, you know, wanting to review screenplays maybe, and then be able to add. So can we add this? You know, let's add some corporations or something like this. Maybe they might even say, because they want to like help out. Like I don't know. There's complicated things, but they're like I imagine like especially when it comes to films, you know, like look at you know, for example, look at Mission Impossible with the IMF or whatever.
Sorry, I'm unfamiliar.
Choosing the word the acronym IMF, it's like this in Mission Impossible, and this is like, in using IMF, it's like International Monetary Fund. It like helps out the United States because it's like it was some sort of like you know, like copy or something, and like it just there's just a lot of subtle things that you'll notice whatever, and like trying to think of others.
Yeah, just like subliminal certain things, but yeah, it's interesting. I certainly wasn't familiar with that, but just that I think it's not necessarily things aren't out of malice, but they can have bad results. But I think it's politics in different areas. So with the Pentagon, it's the international politics of don't make me use it. And then in Hollywood, it's politics and power even within there. What gives us the most standing? But I don't know if it's all intended to with malice, but it can have consequences. But that can be simple things, just like representation. If it's politics of that, I don't want to get involved in that. I don't want to get involved in having a disabled lead, whatever it is. But it can be just navigating the politics of whatever realm they're in. And I think we all experience it on small scales, and yeah, it's crazy.
I'm gonna take a break. I want to get coffee. Do you want anything?
Actually, I should be good. I just got a call, so I think I have to return that. It's from watching Tiger King right now.
Okay, let me pause this 1 second.
Yeah.